Good afternoon. Would you please introduce yourself for the jury?
Hi, I'm Kelly Dews.
And Miss Dews, what is it that you do for a living?
Well, it's a question of what do I not do. I'm really a woman of the people. Basically, I make these videos, and I have all these fans, and I just film my life. But professionally, I'm unemployed.
I'm sorry, so could you explain a little more? What exactly is it that you film?
So, I film my vegan meal prep, my skincare routine, my Lululemon hauls. Really, I just give the Dewsies, which is what I call my subscribers, what they want.
And what other kinds of things do you film?
Well, basically, my Dewsies, they really wanted me to film a camping segment. They wanted me to be more outdoorsy type. So I decided to film a channel or a show on my channel called Camping with Kelly, Camping with a K. And so I went to a campground in Midlands.
You said you went to a campground in Midlands. Was this Hawkins Campground?
Yes, I went to Hawkins campground last July.
When you went, when exactly was that in July?
I went that weekend that little girl Parker died.
Miss Dews, would you recognize a map of Hawkins Campground if I showed one to you?
Yes, I would.
Your Honor, permission to approach opposing counsel and the witness with Exhibit 23?
You may.
Approaching opposing counsel. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
I would, thank you.
Yes. Approaching the witness with a copy of Exhibit 23. Miss Dews, what is it that I've just handed you?
This is a map of Hawkins Campground where I stayed.
And is this a fair and accurate representation of Hawkins Campground?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I ask that Exhibit 23 be entered into evidence.
Any
Your Honor,
objections?
I have no objections pursuant to stipulation 3. All objections have been waived.
Great. It's allowed in.
Thank you. And Your Honor, I also ask that this witness be allowed to step down and make use of a demonstrative of Exhibit 23.
Ms. Dews, you may go ahead and step down.
If you'll come down here for me, Ms. Dews.
Your Honor, may I reposition myself to also see the demonstrative?
You may. For prosecution, do you mind setting this up over here so that the defense
Certainly.
may also see that?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Ms. Dews. So what exactly is it that we're looking at here?
So this is a map of Hawkins Campground where I stayed. I actually stayed right here, which you can see right here. This is kind of where I filmed my cooking with Kelly segment with the hot dogs and hamburgers, vegan of course.
And so when you first arrived at the campground, what did you do?
So I unpacked my stuff and I did a face mask. You know, the wind can really dry out my skin and I didn't want that to happen. So I did that and then I walked around, looked at all the nature. There were a ton of bugs, not surprisingly, but I don't do bugs.
When you got to the campground, did you go hiking?
Yeah, so that was part of my video. I really wanted to be more outdoorsy, show some variation, and be diverse in my footage. So I went hiking on Lacrone Loop.
When you went hiking on Lacrone Loop, did you see anyone?
Yeah, so I was walking on the loop, and I was kind of getting tired, but I saw this little girl and her dad, and I always want to approach myself because I know that little kids can get intimidated by celebrities, and so I wanted to know if she was a doozy, so I went up and introduced myself. She was more of a Kardashian type, but she was still really sweet.
Did you ever find out who these two people were?
Yeah, so they introduced themselves as Jordan was the dad and Parker was the little girl.
Do you see Jordan in this courtroom today?
Yeah, he's sitting right there on the end of the table.
Let the record reflect that this witness has properly identified the defendant. Now, Ms. Dews, when you first met Parker and Jordan on Lacrone Loop, what were they doing?
Well, Parker was kind of jabbing at her dad with her hiking stick, and just kind of playfully, you know, and she was definitely using the hiking stick to hold herself up because she had been limping, and I definitely wanted to do something for attention, but that wasn't for attention. She was definitely limping. And so she was kind of poking at him, and then her dad just like very aggressively pulled the hiking stick out of her hand, and then he swung it at her. He missed, but it was really close to hitting her.
Ms. Dews, at about what time was it when you saw this?
This was at like 3:20.
Okay, Ms. Dews, I'm going to hand you a little card here that says 3:20 and it says Parker and Jordan fighting. Would you place this on the map where exactly it was you saw them fighting?
Sure, so it was actually at the overlook right here.
All right, so after you saw them fighting that first time, what did you do after that?
Well, I said goodbye, I had more footage to film, of course, and I wanted to get farther up the trail, so I left them and I went back to hiking.
Did you ever see Parker or Jordan again?
Yeah, so about an hour later, I'd ripped my Lululemon leggings and I was pretty tired, and I wanted a vegan hot dog, so I went going back and I saw them again.
And when you saw them again the second time, what were they doing?
Well, they were still in the exact same spot where I'd left them an hour ago, but this time they were like fighting. I mean, I fight with my dad, but I haven't fought with my dad like that since he wouldn't let me go to the Britney Spears concert in 2007.
Now, Ms. Dews, I'm going to hand you a card that says 320, 420, and it says Parker and Jordan fighting. Can you place this on the map where it was you saw them fighting that second time?
Yeah, so it's in the exact same spot, right on the overlook.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned that Parker had a hiking stick with her.
Yes, she did.
Would you recognize this hiking staff?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach opposing counsel and then the witness with Exhibit 17.
You may.
Approaching opposing counsel. Approaching the witness. Ms. Dews, is this that hiking staff that you saw Parker holding?
Yes, that's the hiking staff.
Your Honor, I ask that Exhibit 17 be entered into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's allowed in.
So, Ms. Dews, when you saw Parker and Jordan that second time, can you just describe for the jury once again what exactly was it they were doing?
They were really fighting at this point. I mean, it was really scary, actually. I don't really do violence or confrontation, but it was very aggressive and very scary for me to witness.
So after you saw that, then what did you do?
Well, I didn't really know what to do. I mean, I didn't know if I should intervene or not, so I just kept going. I had to get back, and I just didn't feel well, so I just kept going.
Did you ever see Parker or Jordan again after that?
No, I didn't.
Later on hiking, did you ever hear anything?
Yeah, so about 4:40, I was a little bit closer to the campsite, and I heard this yelling, and it was, "I hate you, I wish you had never got out of prison."
Objection, Your Honor, to hearsay on these statements.
Witness, do you go in mind saying what you just said the last sentence or so?
I hate you, I wish you had never got out of prison.
Sustained.
Yes, Your Honor, motion to strike.
Considered stricken.
So, Ms. Dews, did you hear anything else besides that?
I heard this really loud scream. I mean, it was definitely a child's voice, and it was unmistakably Parker. She just screamed.
I'm going to hand you a card that now says 440 and it says scream. Can you place this on the map? Where exactly was you heard that scream coming from?
Same spot, right at the overlook.
And after you heard that scream, what happened?
Well, I called out. Does anyone need any help? I mean, it sounded like a horrible scream, and no one responded. It was just silence. And I tried to look and see, but there was nothing.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dews. You can go ahead and return to your seat. I'd like to talk now about the next day, July 15th. What happened on that day?
Yeah, so I woke up early that morning, and I called my mom. I talked to her, and I was filming some videos, editing. I'm actually starting a blog. It's called This Is How She Does It. So I was writing a little article about my camping trip, and I couldn't concentrate because all of these sirens were going off.
These sirens were going off. Did you go outside to find out what these sirens were all about?
Well, of course. I mean, it was interrupting my creative mindset. So I went outside, and I met this detective.
And what did that detective ask you?
He showed me a picture of a little girl, and it was Parker, and he asked me if I had seen her before.
What did you say?
I said, yes, I met them yesterday, her and her dad.
And then what did you do?
Well, he asked me if I could take them to where I had last seen Parker and Jordan, so I did.
And what did they find where you had last seen Parker and Jordan?
They found Parker's body, the overlook. She had died.
I pass the witness. Your Honor, also, may I publish